Hello there. Why won't the government hand over the full and unredacted WhatsApp messages to Baroness Hallett, who is heading the COVID inquiry? This WhatsApp message issue really stinks of hypocrisy, at the very least. 1 minute we're being told that it's okay to have police face recognition cameras everywhere because if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear. But suddenly we have a situation where the Cabinet Office is moving heaven and earth to protect the principle of privacy as it refuses to hand over WhatsApp messages to the COVID inquiry. Remember that one every time the WEF puppets try to force more privacy-shattering policies on the plebs. But something about this battle to squeeze the blood of information out of the Cabinet Office does not stack up. The lefties in the Cabinet Office were very, very eager to take Boris Johnson's diary information on the comings and goings in Downing Street and Chequers during lockdown and hand them over to the police at the earliest opportunity, weren't they? And Sue Gray appears to have been given access to everything she required to skewer Boris, while allegedly being in talks with Keir Starmer for a new job. But suddenly, reticence seems to be the order of the day. Suddenly, the protection of someone's privacy is all important. It gives off a very dodgy odour, doesn't it? Makes you wonder if the good Baroness was to be given sufficient information to allow her to place a big, fat, green tick on the antics of government during that whole episode. Now, the government says it wants a complete, thorough and candid investigation because they want to learn lessons. You know, the usual talk while they busy themselves protecting their own rears. But at the same time, they say that the inquiry does not need to bother itself with what the government is calling irrelevant details. Irrelevant. I think I'm on the side of the Baroness here. Or is the government saying that Baroness Hallett and her team cannot be trusted with some of those WhatsApp messages? Sorry, Cabinet Office, but if you've already shared them with WhatsApp, I would reckon that most intelligence services across the globe will also have copies already. And maybe that's part of the issue. Too much classified talk on WhatsApp. Now that would be a story. But given the Liz Truss phone hacking saga, I think most people believe that ministers are a constant stream of classified information for foreign intelligence operatives anyway. But there may be other things that were discussed. You know, medical intervention contracts and the clauses within them that the government is doing its best to hide. Or how about talk of efficacy, safety and effectiveness? And how much of their attention was on the pandemic and not on what the Baroness could adjudge to be superfluous stuff and so stuff that could have waited. Stuff like general party politicking and all that. But this is a Tory government. So why has the mainly lefty and Tory-hating civil serpents in the Cabinet Office not leaked anything? They seem to normally go after Tories with a systematic malevolence, given recent events. Everything else was leaked. Remember all the photos and info that was sent to the press on Partygate, etc.? That got both Boris and Rishi a penalty notice. What's changed? Suddenly it's gone clam tight. What's all that about? That indicates to me that there's a lot more to be protected here than the actions and reputations of a couple of disposable Tory ministers. A lot more. Now, I think this WhatsApp gate, has anyone used that term yet? I think this WhatsApp gate goes a lot deeper than most people realise. It stinks of something to hide and something to fear, but at an establishment level, not a purely government level. Do some of those messages show who really was talking to who? What the establishment view really was? Maybe people telling each other and family members to avoid accepting certain things. Now, Boris Johnson's side, as well as the opposition in the form of Angela Rayner, have both come out saying the messages should be surrendered to the inquiry. But a government spokesman said, "We are firmly of the view that the inquiry does not have the power to request unambiguously irrelevant information that is beyond the scope of this investigation. This includes the WhatsApp messages of government employees, which are not about work, but instead are entirely personal and relate to their private lives." Not ministers, note, but government employees. If they are personal and irrelevant messages, then surely Baroness Hallett can discount them. And the information is already in government hands, those of the Cabinet Office. Presumably because the employees used government equipment or government accounts. Otherwise, how else would the Cabinet Office have access to them? So if there was any wrongdoing, for example, action would already have been taken, wouldn't it? And if these employees were happy to share their info with the Cabinet Office, then why not with such an important inquiry? I wonder what the terms and conditions of using said government equipment and accounts are. And how senior are those employees they're trying so desperately to protect? But back to Boris and Angela. They seem very keen on getting these WhatsApp messages to Baroness Hallett. But some of those will surely refer to Boris himself, and the unions that control Labour will want to protect employees. Although the Boris team says the messages they're trying to protect would be Sunak's. But who would make the decision, and based on what legal advice? Would the civil service really allow Tory government ministers to get off a hook if one were available? So are Boris and Angela both making some noise while suspecting or in the knowledge that those messages will never actually see the light of day? We can't trust any of them. That's been proven time and again. From the government to the Commons to the Lords to the civil serpentry, they're all compromised, all now beholden to the power brokers in Davos and the UN. What they now do serves those extra-national bodies and the great 2030 reset. We, the people that pay their wages and sometimes get to vote, are of an ever-diminishing importance to these people. They can now make all the promises they like in the knowledge that the people will keep voting the same old way and just moan and accept it when government after government breaks their pledges and things just get worse. But the big message here is that if privacy from a government inquiry is so important for government employees, then our privacy, that of the ordinary public, is as equally important and valuable. Don't let them overreach any further into our private lives.